Good day. My name is Samuel Ojajogo Tue, and I'll be talking. I'm the group team leader for this group 7030 International Leadership. And for this presentation, I'll be talking on the current and past ethical or human rights issues in the real world drawing. I'll be looking at Apple Incorporated, and that as a technology company. I'm not alone. I'm with my colleague Okimari Elvis, Timitokpe Samson Jobi, Folashade Ige Margaret. Ignoring abuses by suppliers, Apple Incorporated has a position, and the CEO is Tim Cook, and the home country is China. And the agenda for this presentation goes as follows: the introduction, the background of Apple, the ethical and human rights issues, leadership style of Tim Cook, ethical seven CSR issues faced by Tim Cook's management of ethical and CSR issues, impacts on Apple, stakeholder perspectives, recommendations for improved leadership and management, lessons learned, Apple's progress and initiatives, impacts on Apple's reputation and brand image, and finally the conclusion. Moving on to the next slide to be discussed by Fola Shade Margaret. Thank you.
Thank you.
The
The
introduction.
introduction.
The
The
purpose of
purpose
this
of this
presentation is
presentation
to
is to
visualize,
analyze
analyze the leadership
leadership
of Tim
of
Cook,
Tim Cook,
the international leader of Apple, in the context of of, of the ethical and human rights issue faced by the company. Tim Cook has played as a significant role in Apple's success and has made his mark on the company leadership approach by examining Cook leadership styles and actions taken during the ethical and CSR challenge. We can gain insight into the effectiveness as a leader and the broader implementation for Apple. Next slide to my colleagues.
Okay, thank you. So I'll be looking at the background of Apple. Apple is one of the most valuable companies in the world with a market capitalization exceeding $2 trillion. Tim Cook succeeded Steve Jobs as CEO in 2011, and under his leadership, Apple continued to thrive and expand its reach globally. Apple is a significant player in the technology industry. They are known for their innovative products and services, according to Johnson and others. The company operates globally with a widespread presence in various countries around the world. Apple's success can be attributed to its ability to create groundbreaking technology, develop user-friendly products, and provide seamless integration between hardware, software, and services by hand and Park 2010. The Apple commitment to technology advancement has resulted in various products and services that have had a significant impact on consumers and on an industry, according to Han and Park 2010. And also, Apple product ecosystem, which include devices like iPhone, iPad, and MacBooks, and services like iCloud, has contributed to the global popularity and success, according to Johnson. Moving over to my next colleague.
Thank you very much, Amaru. The ethical and human rights issues. The ethical issues are concerns that arise when considering what is necessary and right or wrong in particular organizations. And these issues involve complex questions about values, principles, and consequences of actions. And Apple Incorporation, as a large multinational corporation, has faced various ethical and human rights issues over the years. And some of these issues are supply chain labor practices, and this is criticism in one of the supply chain manufacturing in China, whereby people working long hours, getting low wages, and inadequate safety measures. And also, one of the issues are conflict minerals. The phrase scrutiny regarding the use of conflict minerals like tin, tungsten, gold, and the likes, and some other ethical issues like that. So the Apple's new human rights policy intends to improve workers' rights in its supply chain, and this Apple supply code of conduct came in place, whereby it's a crucial document that outlines the company's expectation from its suppliers concerning labor practices, human rights, environmental protection, and also the ethical conduct. And this code requires on suppliers to comply with applicable laws and set standards that go beyond the requirements in many regions. And criticism have raised by human rights group regarding Apple's handling of abuses by suppliers. And if a viral video from a Chinese supplier shows disrespect treatment of workers, it highlights that it highlights the rights it highlights that so all these ongoing issues are need for continued efforts to ensure ethical labor practices. And also the worker rights issues in Apple's supply chain have been a long-standing concern because over the years there have been reports and investigations highlighting various labor-related challenges in the factories of Apple suppliers, particularly in countries like China. And some of these worker rights issues include working conditions, like I said earlier, in the sense of long working hours, excessive overtime, crowded living conditions in the dormitories, and inadequate health and safety measures, and also child labor, wages and benefits concern. That means low wages and inadequate benefits for the workers. So moving on to the next slide, which is the leadership style of Tim Cook. Tim Cook is the CEO of Apple Incorporated, as we said earlier, and is known for his distinct leadership style, which reflects his personality, values, and approach to running the company. He's a leader and at the same time a manager. His leadership style is a strategic and transformational because his leadership approach is marked by a focus of long-term vision. He has a long-term vision, not a short-term vision. Driving innovation and fostering organizational growth and change. And he prefers to stay out of the limelight and focuses more on the operational aspects of running the company rather than seeking personal recognition, and is committed to preserving and upholding Apple's core values like the innovation, design excellence, and customer focuses. And also Cook leadership impact. His leadership has had a significant impact on Apple and its overall success. It has streamlined production and optimized global operations, expanded product portfolios, and entered a new market. That is diversified offerings and revenue stream. Products like we have the Apple smartwatch, we have the HomePod, we have the Apple Pay, we have the Apple services bundle like the Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, and also he expanded and collaborated with various features and developed enterprise-focused solutions such as management and security features to meet the needs of the businesses. Moving on to the next slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sakwe. So
about the ethical and the CSR issues faced by the Tim Cook. Simon has already said a lot about the ethical. So these are two major things. The CSR, which is the corporate social responsibility, situation whereby the management and the company, they interact with the social and environmental concern in their business operations. So they get back to the stakeholders. So since Simon has already talked a little too about the ethical, so I'm not going to dwell much on that. So moving on without wasting time, ethical and human rights have been the complex topic, and which arise in various domains and contexts. But here are some of the key issues, which are violations of workers' rights and mistreatment in Apple supply chain. This has been for a while. So in terms of low wages and excess working hours, which my colleagues have said, the poor working conditions, in terms of the way they treat their staffs, and also Apple have been accused of using suppliers that are underage. They have been accused of using underage workers in their factories. Also, the lack of freedom of association, whereby workers face challenges in exercising their right of freedom of association and collective bargain. Also, complaints of abuse, such as breaking regulations, forcing workers to work during breaks, delaying bonus payments and resignations. Also, lack of implementation mechanisms and the public accountability in Apple's new human rights policy. In terms of lack of implementation mechanism and then public accountability in Apple's human rights policy. So examples and evidence of these issues are, there was a time the viral video of workers being treated disrespectfully and by the Voice of America in 2022, September 10. So the video show whereby the workers was treated in a inhumane way. They are not being treated well. Also report of poor work labors and worker suicide in Apple supply chains. So this issue really reflects the need for improved ethical practice and stronger need to improve the practice and the stronger corporate social responsibility. So the companies and need to interact with the social environmental concern in the business operations and interact with their stakeholders. Also, part of it is the lack of clarity and data sharing with third parties. A situation whereby you go on social media, you search for something, in the next moment you realize that they keep bringing that thing, they've already sold the data to a third party. So these are the ethical challenges. And so without wasting much of a time, I will move on to the Tim Cook management of ethical and CRS issue. So Tim Cook's approach to managing ethical and corporate social responsibility issues in China. These are acknowledgement of the issues and the commitment to address them. Also, implementation of new human rights policy, which aim at improving workers' rights in the supply chain. Emphasis on ensuring safety and respectful environment in Apple supply workplace. So these actions taken by Tim Cook and Apple to address the problems are apologies were rendered to the Pegatrons, the company that owns the factory involved in disrespectful treatment of workers. They have offered the apology. Also, the continuous engagement with human rights organizations and critics to improve labor conditions. Apple's participation in reporting human rights standards, such as ILOs within the industry. These actions demonstrate Cook's and Apple commitment to addressing and improving the ethical and CRS issues in the operation in China. So what are the impact on Apple? So impact of ethical and the CRS issue on Apple, these are reputational damage and loss of customer trust. So like I said, in a situation whereby they were selling data to third party, people were afraid to even search for something sensitive, search for something confidential online. So this really brought them reputational damage to the company. Also, potential negative impact on sales and financial performance. So a lot of companies come up with another brand whereby they said, oh, this is not safe for Apple, people can hack their cloud and all that. Also, increase scrutiny and regulatory bodies and human rights organizations. Legal and compliance risks associated with labor violations. So consequences faced by Apple, these are potential boycott or protest by customers and the advocacy groups. So a lot of people boycott the product, they move on to the other brands. Also increase pressure for transparency and accountability in the supply chain practice. So these are the consequences which faced by Apple. Moving on to the impact on Apple reputation and the brand image. So after the consequence, so they needed to redeem their reputation. So the impact on reputation and brand and the ethical and CRS issue in China had negative impact on Apple's reputation and brand image. The incidents highlighted concern about labor condition and worker treatment, leading to public scrutiny. So the last one, which is the efforts of rebuild trust and restore reputation. Apple implemented measures to address labor rights violations and improve supplier practice. Also, they increased transparency and collaboration with the stakeholders to demonstrate commitment to the ethical standard. Thank you so much. Moving on to my next colleague to talk about the further slides.
Okay, thank you. So I'll be looking at the stakeholder perspective. Firstly, we have the workers. These are people who put in work in bringing out the product to life. The workers, they desire fair treatment and improved working conditions and respect. Also, shareholders, they are more concerned about the potential negative impact on stock value and financial performance. They are just primarily interested in the financial performance of the company. While the consumers, they expect ethical and responsible practices from the brands they support. Just like if the brand puts out a bad image, it will be a bad image to the consumers and also the advocacy groups. Advocates for workers' rights. These are people who fight for the workers' rights, transparency, and accountability in supply chains, according to the Voice of America. Moving on to my next.
Thank you, Mariam. So the recommendation for improvement, sorry, okay. Recommendation for improved leadership and management. Enhance leadership and management standard. Foster a culture and ethical behaviors and social responsibility throughout the organization. Then strengthen supply chain monitoring and adopting processing to ensure compliance with labor standards. Implement mechanism for whistleblower protection to encourage reporting of ethical violations. Then strategies for promoting ethical practice and enhancing SR initiative. Develop comparative sustainability strategies that incorporate social, environment, and economic aspects. Then engage with stakeholders, including workers, advocating group, and customers to understand their perspective and address concerns. And we group as a group, we went to establish an organization culture and support ethical idea and help the overall performance and reputation of a company by putting the place strong ethical framework, encourage opens and involves stakeholder. Next slide to my colleagues.
Thank you very much, Folashade Ige. So I'll be talking on the lessons learned. So the key lessons learned from Tim Cook's leadership and management approach. We looked at the transparency which is vital in addressing and resolving ethical and CSR issues, and also the accountability also should be upheld at all levels of the organization, including suppliers and partners. And also the stakeholder engagement is essential for understanding diverse perspectives and finding effective solutions. So we also emphasize the importance of continuous improvement, learning from past mistakes. Yes, they learn from their past mistakes and also they adopted strategies to changing circumstances. Moving on to the next slide.
Okay, thank you. So coming to the end of our report. So we looked at the issues faced by Apple and its leader, Tim Cook, and how he addresses the issue faced by Apple. Because the corporate social responsibility faced by Apple, especially in China, the ethical issues faced on how Tim Cook addresses this as a leader, and the impact this made on Apple reputation as a whole. And also some recommendations for Apple is they should always make it a very important way, like ethical leadership and CSR practice should be their number one priority. And multinational companies must prioritize ethical behavior, sustainability, and stakeholder engagement to maintain trust and enhance their brand image. According to Google. Thanks. Over to my next question.
Thank you very much, Maru. And we've come to the end of the presentation. And these are the references. These are the references. Thank you very much. Thank you.